When a franchise is successful, more specifically profitable, the company that owns it tries to branch off and tries to turn that said franchise into other forms of media. Whether it is games, movies, TV shows, books, you name it, to hopefully get more of a profit, and my favorite series of all time is no exception to that. Devil May Cry, even in its early entries, was one of Capcom's most successful franchises ever, and it still is. With the fifth game selling over 9 million copies, and the recent poll they did where fans were able to vote for their favorite character and title, with Dante winning the best male character, winning the best male character selection, beating out characters like Leon, Kennedy, and Mega Man, with Virgil coming in fourth place. And Devil May Cry 5 was their most voted game for Capcom's best game. Indeed, Devil May Cry in general dominated the polls for a large portion of the results, for the most part. And even in the early to mid 2000s, it was still doing pretty well. So it made sense for the pizza-loving uncle we all know and love to have some crossovers. This included Shin Megami Tensei and Beautiful Joe, and so many other more that can have their own dedicated video. But today we will be going over the Devil May Cry anime that came out in 2007. It was one of the first animes I've seen, with Netflix announcing that the Devil May Cry anime that they're working on will be releasing on April 7th. It made sense for me to go back and revisit it and share my thoughts on it. Back when it was 2018 at E3, Capcom announced after a long 10-year wait Devil May Cry was back. With the fifth and latest installment in the mainline series, practically everyone and their mom was losing their minds, and rightfully so. I know. One of the biggest questions we had was who's the guy that we see in the beginning of the trailer? Well, shortly after the announcement, we got confirmation that it was Morrison from the DMC anime that came out in 2008. Prior to this, the DMC games didn't really mention the existence of any of the characters in the anime, so I pretty much needed to check out the anime at some point. So about a month or two after the game's release in 2019, I watched the DMC anime and liked it, and that was that. Okay, confession time. Back then, I didn't really watch anime. I was one of those animes for kids type of guys. Nowadays, I just watch anime a lot, and as of now, I've seen 30 animes since 2022. So yeah, back on topic. When I did watch it, I had a lot of fun with it. I probably didn't really expect myself to like it as much as I did. And when I got my hands on DMC5, I saw a lot of those neat references to the anime. The biggest one was Patty Lowell, which we will talk about later. And 6 years later, I decided to rewatch it. So without any further ado, here is my retrospective of the 2007 DMC anime. After the major success of Devil May Cry 3, Capcom decided to expand the franchise and commission anime for the series, to hopefully pull more fans into the franchise. The anime was made by Studio Madhouse. They made stuff like One Punch Man Season 1, the original Trigun, Monster, Hajime no Ippo, and the guilty pleasure that is High School of the Dead, with more recent projects like a Free Run Beyond the Journey's End and so much more. The anime would get a few teases in 2006 with the release of the anime in 2007. Devil May Cry the Animated Series is a 12-episode anime series that follows Dante on his everyday life as a demon hunter, so with all that history stuff out of the way, how is the anime itself? It's weird to talk about, to say the least. Devil May Cry has always been a series that always puts its action, combat, and stylized characters above all else, so you'd think it would translate over to an anime format very well because we have a lot of stuff like that in the medium. But here's where the execution really starts to fall apart, though the anime starts off good with Dante having been assigned by Morrison to escort a young girl named Patty Lowell to the Lowell family estate as being named the inheritor of the fortune. Along the way, it is made clear that someone is out to kill her, so she doesn't claim it, and it's Dante's job to protect her at all costs. When they do get to the estate, however, it's revealed that Patty Lowell that Dante was protecting was not the real one. In fact, she was just a decoy so that the real one could get there without much trouble. To atone for that, however, the older Patty Lowell offers to adopt the orphan. Even after that, she declines and spends her days at the Devil May Cry shop, always pestering Dante every chance she gets.
Huh? I thought my strawberry sundae would be delivered here by the time I got out of the shower.
That strawberry sundae?
What? Hey, that was mine! What the hell do you think you're doing? This is my place! Let's get this straight. My place. Mine.
It was totally filthy and dorky, so I cleaned it and did some cute decorating.
Cute's a relative term. I'm more concerned about my goddamn dessert.
That's what I charge for my work. Thanks. It was the best Sunday ever.
Following that, every episode after that, up until the last year of the series, we follow Dante getting new jobs for every episode. This ranges from Dante being a bodyguard for a team of workers to clear out an old building up until a demon shows up that is actually a woman possessed by a demon, to helping a ghost clear her brother's name of a falsely accused crime, to helping an overprotective father that wants to kill a person that might be a demon, who also might run away with his daughter. These stories don't exactly further the plot, instead they are all self-contained stories for each episode. Up until the last third, where it's revealed that one of the lesser demons we see in the first episode, named Sid, was collecting pieces of demons that Dante has killed, to awaken a demon that was once on par with the Demon King Mundus, to take his power and make it his own. The final piece needed to open it is in the hands of Patty's biological mother, who was thought to have died. A seal that Sid is breaking was put there in place by Patty's father. Patty's mom asks Dante to protect it. Patty figures out that she might be her mom. She wants to see her again, so she rushes to her mother's hotel with the pendant and enters the room, only to find Sid waiting there. And using her mother as leverage, Sid tells Patty to put the final piece on the pedestal so that the demon could be awakened. Sid then jumps into the portal, takes the demon's power, and Dante arrives to take out the demon named Abigail. Really? Abigail? Whatever. Dante jumps into the portal, fights Sid, and gets crucified, with his sword stabbed right through his heart. With Sid being powered up, he goes on a killing spree in the human realm. It all seems hopeless until Patty goes to the demon realm, wakes up Dante to fight Sid one more time, only to get impaled, not being fazed by the damage, then beats him without putting up much of a fight. Okay, he activates Devil's Trigger, but only barely, and beats him up, so I don't know if that counts. The anime ends with Dante returning to his shop, accepting another job with Lady and Triss raising him there, and Patty Lowell staying behind the shop, cleaning up the place while Dante's out. I always love that ending. When looking at the format of the anime, it follows a pretty simple format. Every episode is a self-contained story following something new that doesn't further the plot until the final few episodes. It's basically a slice of life, albeit with a supernatural twist. Each character met in each episode represents Dante in some way, shape, or form, or ties into his personal life. And if you read up on the lore of for Dante, you would know what I'm talking about. And despite his devil-may-care attitude, he still does the nicer thing at the end of each episode, like not accepting the pay, even though he ends up further in debt. However, this is where the anime starts to fall apart, because we spend most of our time with the side characters than Dante himself. There is not really a lot of characterization for them. They are just in that one episode, and then they never show up ever again. Except for Patty Lowell. Patty Lowell is basically like Dante's younger sister. They have that dynamic a lot, and I enjoy it a lot. I can understand why people don't exactly like her for being annoying, but I really don't mind that. I really like her, and that scene in the final episode makes me cry sometimes. Next, I want to talk about production. All of it looks pretty good. All the characters look snappy and good without much problems. The lighting is used great effects, and the designs for each of the characters look really good. And the art style looks good without much hiccups. But that is a different story when looking at the action. For a series that is all about over the top action and stylish combat, you would expect some amazing fight scenes, right? Well, no. Every time there's a fight scene when the music's kicking and when the music's kicking, it's getting you pumped up, making you think that there's going to be such an insane fight scene. And just when things are just getting good, there's a cutaway. When it returns it's the conclusion of the fight. Dante winning without putting much of a fight. That's basically it for every single fight scene. When animes do a cutaway gag, it's made to build up tension or leave the viewer wondering what happened. But in the DMC anime, it's used so much that you honestly just know what's going to happen. But believe it or not, that's not my main complaint about the action. When we do in fact see the fight for what little we are shown of it, it's very lackluster. Like there's barely any movement and it's hard to keep track of Dante and his enemy, and the fight is pretty boring. For the most part, Dante doesn't exactly move around or use the environment all too well, as there's no good fight choreography. Dante just swings his sword around and shoots his pistols until the demon is dead. I wanted to mention that Dante doesn't use any of his weapons like Nevan or Agni and Rudra, as they could have spiced up the fights a little more. But there's a lore reason why. It also doesn't help when there is a fight scene, there is a lot of camera shaking. This is a common thing used in anime, but not to this extent. The camera shaking is basically covering up movement from characters, making it feel like characters are moving, but in reality they aren't moving at all. Probably the best fight scene in the anime is between Lady and Trish, because the environment is used, a bunch of different weapons and tactics are used, and so it's at least so it feels a lot better, and it looks a lot better. When looking at anime fight scenes, there's a lot of movement and vibrant colors. The anime doesn't do both of them all too well. I know this isn't a fair comparison because I'm showing examples like Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Windbreaker as these animes have come out from the past like 5 or 6 years. But even animes that came out around the time that Devil May Cry the animated series was airing still had much better animation. This is where I want to take a moment to talk about the director of the anime, Shin Itagaki. If you've been around the anime space for a while, you would know that he's the guy that made the Berserk 2016 CGI movie. I don't exactly blame him for the anime ending up like this. Looking at his resume on my anime list, the things he's more involved in, like TQ, has a much more colorful art style and is much more comedic. But when he's given something way more darker, characters that look much more human and a much longer runtime, he doesn't exactly have the knowledge to bring it all to life. I know I'm sounding very negative, but I do want to give it some props because there are some episodes I really like. And if you have seen my tier list video, you would know I ranked the anime pretty highly. I always but let's get to some episodes I actually really like. Episode 2 is always a blast to watch, as it's about a demon killing bikers and we see Dante riding a bike. I like that episode. Episode 3 is about a demon that fell in love with a human, kind of like Sparta, and where Dante kind of reflects on his parents a bit. Episode 4 is where Trish and Lady meet for the first time. I'm glad it gave us that. Episode 6 is one of my personal faves, as it's about a rock star that sold her soul to a demon to make people really love her music, as it fits into the DMC mythos very well. Can I also say that Future in My Hand slaps so hard. Episode 9 is an interesting watch. It's a game of poker. It's a game of poker that escalates into a death poker game. Boy, that escalated quickly. Episode 10 is probably the one I'm the most disappointed in, as it introduces Sparta's apprentices. When I heard about it, I was hoping we would see more of them, but unfortunately they died in the very episode they appeared in, which sucks. I hope if we ever get a Spark prequel, I hope we get to see them again because, man, they were wasted potential. Wow. But episode 8 is probably my favorite episode in the entire show, as it's about Dante's past when he was Tony Redgrave. He's also trying to do everything he can to forget it all and pretend he's not Tony. This episode just makes me sad for Dante, seeing his old friend telling him never to come back because the demons were after him, and it ends with Dante on a train heading home, just sad. Okay, I know I'm going to be going off topic here, but this is where I really want to talk about Dante because out of all the incarnations of him, this is probably my favorite version of him. It's helped even more because his game voice actor voiced him here, which made the scenes more come to life. Dante in the games has always, for the most part, been portrayed as a wisecracking, over-the-top hero, but with the change to the DMC timeline, he isn't exactly always like that. In DMC2, he was much more quiet, almost like he was depressed. And looking at the timeline, it goes 3, 1, 2, 4, and 5. Where the anime fits into this is between 1 and 2. And this is where it solidified Dante was depressed, and the anime only solidified this theory. The anime gave us a side of Dante we've never seen before. The anime gave Dante more of a human feeling that despite all the power he has, that he still has human qualities that we all have. Which makes sense. Dante has been through hell. His dad is gone, his mother is dead. He had to fight his brother twice and had to kill him. He's also insanely powerful, which makes most of the fights that he's in over pretty fast because of how strong he is. And that's not even getting into his life in the manga and the novels. And with the end credits too being titled I'll Be Your Home, where he just sits there at his table with a wine bottle and looks sad. In the credits we see glimpses of Patty, Lady, and Trish. Despite all the trouble Lady and Trish give him, he still enjoys their company, and Patty is like a little sister to him. He enjoys his company. I genuinely really like this theory, Dante being depressed, and I hope we get to see something like this again. Maybe when the Netflix anime comes out, we can see something like this. Who knows? Okay, wow, I did not expect to go off topic for as long as I did. So, closing thoughts. I really like the slice of life direction that they went with, and I really like the way Dante was portrayed. However, the underwhelming action and the overarching plot that drags, and it really could have been done better. So, do I think the anime is worth watching? For a long time DMC fans, yeah, I definitely say it's worth watching. But for people who never heard of the series and want to get into it, nope. Just play the games or just watch the anime that's coming out on April 3rd. If I were to give it a ranking, I'd say a 7 out of 10 would probably be the highest I'd give it, and the lowest would be a 5 out of 10. So that is my thoughts on the DMC anime that came out back in 2007. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Brokenlimit, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.